Jambo sana, habari yenu. Sisi iko kwa Kenya, iko gari wili atatembea hapa, hata iko gari moja atapeleka wewe paka Afrika Kusini. Hiyo ni Safari Live. Ready?
Standing by.
Scott. I'm teamed up with Fergus on camera and it's a great pleasure to have you with us. I thought I'd mix things up and do a Kiswahili introduction. I basically said, hello everyone, how are all of you doing? We've got 2 vehicles in the Masai Mara, 1 vehicle in South Africa. This is Safari Live. So, Tayla is traversing Djuma. James, as you saw a bit earlier, is up in his control room, and we have decided to head south towards Serena, but we're gonna do a loop through an area where I haven't spent much time, and it'll be a pleasant change of scenery for all of us. And then we'll come back up along the Mara River to see if there's any crossings happening or any other action along the way. I'm also hoping to pass through an area where Scar, a big male lion, likes to spend some time. I haven't got to see him much, and he is such a well-known character in the Mara that it would be nice for all of us to get to know him a little bit better. It's a beautiful afternoon. It's about 25 degrees Celsius, which is 77 degrees Fahrenheit. There is a slight breeze, and for now, no signs of rain. So, good prospects. For those of you who were not on the sunrise safari, there was a few gremlins lurking about, but it ended up getting fixed towards the end of the drive, so we managed to get a glimpse of the Agama pride, or at least a few members thereof. And we've got some great news for those of you who haven't heard. The cub that was stranded in a crevice, we did get a visual of this morning. All 3 of those cubs are okay. So I'm sure that is a great relief to a lot of you. So, like I said, this road hasn't been used too much by me, but it does afford us the opportunity to explore some different areas. It's quite interesting how you tend to gravitate to kind of towards one area, I guess because you get comfortable once you know the road. So now we are heading a little bit more into the unknown. Alright, well, we'll be sure to keep you updated, but for now you're going to travel some few thousand of kilometers all the way to South Africa with Tayla.
Great. Well, good afternoon everybody, and it's great to have you all here today. My name is Tayla, and on camera with me today is Craig, and hopefully we're going to find some animals, because it was particularly quiet out there this morning. Well, out here in the Sabi sands at least. Kenya seems to be bustling with many animals. Now unfortunately for us, we got lucky this morning in terms of the wind. We didn't have any of that this morning. Well, it's back. It's back again this afternoon, so we'll just drive around and hopefully find some birds. I think we're going to have to talk about lots of plants, and who knows, maybe an elephant too, but we'll just see how it goes, I suppose. I'm sure we'll try and pop past Chitwa Dam at some point as well, but for now, the only thing Craig and I have seen are tails of warthogs disappearing into the distance. They didn't even want to hang around this afternoon, so, well, let's see if we can find a bird. I'm looking for our first animal, and at the moment it's completely barren out here. There isn't even any wings flapping about. I have not even seen a butterfly fluttering in the air. So let's see if we can find a bird. This is normally my go-to spot for birds as well. This is where all the woodland birds like to live, but they don't seem to be around just yet. Anyways, we're going to keep searching for life out here in the Sabi Sands. I'm going to send you across back to Kenya with James, who's in his studio.
I too am searching for life, everybody, but well, with a joystick and a little zoom and wide telly and wide thing that I have here. My name is James Henry. Now I can see it. David would kill me if he saw me doing that. Apparently that's very 80s to interact with the graphics on the screen. I forget what that cartoon slash film was. What was it with Michael Johnson in it? Or Michael Jordan? Never mind. I forget. Let's go across to Dusty Crossing, if you wouldn't mind. We had some zebras there massing a little earlier. There we go. My actual pushing of the button there didn't make a difference to whether we went here or not. They were up here, around here, a little bit earlier, and I'm just going to scan from side to side. And as, of course, the afternoon gets a little bit cooler and the sun begins its inexorable dip down towards the west, we will hopefully have some birds and things feeding around here, and if we're very lucky, we will get a crossing. It has only been zebra so far this year. We've had no wildebeest crossing this far north, and I will show you at some stage during the afternoon, if you are a bit confused, the different crossings that we have on a map so that you may sort of orientate yourself. That banging in the background you shouldn't worry too much about. That, of course, is not some sort of dread happening. It is the cleaning up of my studio. Oh, hang on a second. Are we with the school? We're not sure if we're with the school. Well, if we are, I hope you're all enjoying your safari. And what we've got there are some crocodiles. We'll go and have a quick look at them. Huge, huge crocodile, that one. Possibly one of the biggest I've ever seen. Look how fat he is. I suspect he's been eating zebra for the last few days. And we had a long discussion this morning about crocodile jaws and the articulation of how they open and shut and how they function. And then also we had a discussion about crocodiles and alligators and the difference between the two. And they are quite closely related. But alligators tend to be a bit smaller and apparently have a more U-shaped snout as opposed to a pointed one. But of course there are many different species of crocodile and alligator and caiman. So there's still lots of research to be done on that. And then I wonder if we can't pop across, if possible, Kirsten, to Main North. Is that an option at all? And there we are at Main North, everybody. Let me just move across a little bit. It is exposed like that simply because the sun is going down behind here. Now, a little bit earlier, I saw a lot of topi and zebra. I think massing is a strong term, probably doing a lot more grazing than massing on the other side of the river there. And we'll see if we can't find them. You can see it is quite a blustery day, about 24 degrees Celsius, I believe. Now, Scott is going to come back past this area. That's what he was saying a little bit earlier. He said back past the crossings. So maybe by the time he gets here, we will have some action. In the meantime, let us head back to him and find out how far.
How awesome are those river crossings? And whoops, forgot my sunny. It's very bright out with this dying grass that's of a light color. In the rainy season it'll be far less bright on one's eyes. Look at how beautiful this place is. We often look out onto this escarpment, but we don't often bring you so close to it. I love all the dotted trees along the base. And what's also important to take note of is how long the grass is on each side of the road. And this is what the wildebeest and zebra are coming for. There is a multitude of food here waiting for them, and it's all going to be gobbled up. I'm told within a week or two of them arriving. It's just about incomprehensible for my little brain, but that is what we are going to have the joys of sharing together in the coming weeks. So at the moment, to give you an idea where the river is compared to where we are. I'm just going to stop quickly. Let Ferg do his business. So way off in the distance there you can see that belt of big green trees of riparian vegetation, and that is basically the Mara River in and amongst all of those trees. So we will be making our way back along there, but we'll probably head up onto that big hill in the background first, and then from there drop down onto the river's edge. So we've got a fair distance to travel from here. We're going to go all the way to that hill that's just popped out of frame, and I like as much as possible to try and give you guys an idea of the expanse of this playground that we are so lucky to traverse. Now, David's interested to know if I've ever seen herbivores ever fighting over food, grass, leaves, bushes, and I haven't personally seen that, but in drought conditions herbivores will become a lot less tolerant of other species and their own species. There will be both inter and intra-species competition between the various herbivores. What's more common, David, is around water points that I've noticed. So that's definitely the case. I guess through default you get some animals like impalas who will rut during a certain part of the year, and that basically means they're going to try and secure a piece of land where they know a lot of ladies are going to be attracted to. So they are essentially fighting off other males for food, because the land, well, one of the most important things that all these animals need to seek out is food on a daily basis. So a clever male impala will fight for an area with lots of food, possibly also some water, and that way be able to bank more ladies. But that's more for mating purposes, but it is indirectly fighting over food and habitats, I guess. Interestingly, I saw a picture from a Kenyan friend of mine who's also a guide who I met briefly. He was guiding some guests through the camp that I was managing before I came back to Safari Live, and he took some photos of two wildebeest having a mammoth struggle not far from us in the Mara, but I'm not entirely sure what those wildebeest were fighting over. Okay, well, it sounds like both myself and Tayla have yet to find you animals, but you are going to be hopping into her vehicle to bumble along and see what you can find.
Yes, not quite sure what you had to say there, Scott, but yeah, I think something along the lines of us trying to find animals. Most certainly we are trying to find anything with a heartbeat, and no luck just yet either, not even with the birds. Now, what I'm doing is I'm driving on Gowrie Main, which is one of the boundary roads, desperately looking to see if any animals have crept in between game drives. But so far, no luck. I was really hoping that we were going to see some elephant tracks maybe coming in this way, heading towards some dams. But maybe as we go further along, we'll go all the way down towards Cheetah Cut Line, and then perhaps later we'll come and check around the various dams. And then this morning, we were obviously tracking a leopard if you were watching the sunrise safari. So we will go back up also towards, of course, Gowrie Dam, Bubbleshook Dam. That's the one I wanted to tell you about. And we'll check around Quarry Pan again, perhaps Hyena Road and all those areas. Maybe he's just lying in the block somewhere. But the leopard that they did find, and I said to you I wasn't sure whereabouts it was, I did find out just after drive ended. It was quarantine, and he was on Torchwood, actually almost in the middle of Torchwood, which is interesting, because if Tingana finds him there, he's going to get another hiding and sent back with his tail between his legs all the way to Cheetah Plains. Now, I did just see a dwarf mongoose running across the road, but to try and find it in this long grass, good luck, Craig. You won't get it. It's gone all the way in the back there between those monkey oranges, so we'll carry on. Maybe we'll get lucky with a dwarf mongoose a bit later at a mound somewhere. We'll have to find a mound that's open, because to find any small animals that are in the long grass, it's not great. Now, I believe a whole lot of you are asking about the hyena cub. I don't really know what else to say, but in my opinion, I think that the hyena that was killed at Tamboti Dam, just with not seeing, like I said this morning, that little cub suckling once, I think that it was scarback. Unfortunately, nobody was able to get a photo because the hyena was too badly sort of, I suppose, damaged to be able to ID it, and that's not good for us, and we can only speculate. But we've been there how many times now, and not once have we seen that little cub suckling. It's very, very sad. So I think that it is going to be a very slow, unpleasant way out for that little hyena, because the fact that it's shrinking in size is that its body is desperate for nutrients, and as you know, anything that's young and small needs a lot of sustenance to be able to grow as quick as it can, and it's not getting that. And you can see it's gone all wobbly on its legs. It shouldn't be getting it shouldn't be getting more unstable. It should be getting stronger and stronger, but the complete opposite is happening. But like I said, this is nature. Nature can be cruel sometimes. We can't intervene unless it was something had happened and it caused, for instance, that little hyena. I don't even know. I get so sad even talking about it. I can't even get my words out. It really is devastating, but unfortunately, just from my side, I'm not going to go and sit and watch it. I just think it's so sad what's happening, and I really do know that it's nature, but sometimes even I just sort of go, I can't sit and watch that, and I know it's not pleasant for any of you watching the show either. So we'll go in and check every now and then, but we're not going to be spending time with it, unfortunately. Let's just keep our fingers crossed that I'm completely wrong, and that scarback does appear at some point and start suckling that cub, or some miracle happens and one of the other hyenas adopt the cub. Look at that sighting that happened with the lion suckling the leopard cub. Who knows, maybe we get some miracle like that down here. Anyways, we're going to keep searching. We'll check Twin Dams and Treehouse Dam. Hopefully there'll be some impala or some antelope around. I'm going to send you back to Kenya, all the way to James.
A very, very warm welcome to all of you at the Creature Conservancy in Illinois. I hope you're all having a wonderful day there, and we're hopefully going to show you some creatures, the first of which is going to be a bird at the water. A bird at Main South Crossing. There we go. Well done. Sorry about that, everyone. It's very difficult to try and control where we point the cameras. So what we have here are two sacred ibis and two very nasty looking crocodiles. And I'd love you to ask any questions you like. You can do that, I think, probably via your teacher, and they will send them through to us. And the first thing we'll do is have a look at these crocodiles. Nasty things, aren't they? Looking nasty. But, you know, as nasty as they look, they are very important parts of what we call an ecosystem. That's an area like this, where it includes all the soils and the grasses and the trees and the flowers and the insects and the birds and the elephants and all the other kinds of mammals, and including things like this crocodile, or these two crocodiles. Let me just brighten that picture up slightly so that you can have a nice look. Ooh, now, kids, you want to know how old I think these crocodiles are. You know, it's quite difficult to tell, because I know when you look around the room, you can tell who's 8 and who's 11 just by looking at the size, right? Well, it's not quite so easy with reptiles, because it really does depend on how much they eat. So a crocodile that doesn't eat very much is going to stay small, and a crocodile that eats very well is going to get very big. But I will tell you that we think crocodiles can live for over 100 years, which is a very long time indeed. And I'm going to ask you which animal you think can live for the longest of any other animal in the world. And you think of an animal that can live for a very long time, and you can tell me the next time you see me. Think about that while we look around what else we have here. We have got two sacred ibis, like I said. That's that white bird there with the black wings. That's called a sacred ibis. And the sacred ibis has got a long beak, you can see there, for sticking into the ground and pulling out worms. That's the kind of thing that the sacred ibis likes to eat. They love worms. They think they're very delicious. For them, it's like spaghetti. Up they go, and they enjoy their worms. I think they're very beautiful birds. And you'll find that there are lots and lots of different kinds of ibises in the world. They are birds with long beaks like that. Then we've got another bird there. Can you see it there in the bottom of the screen? It's called, there are two of them, and they are called spur-winged lapwings. Spur-winged lapwings. That's quite difficult to remember. But a spur, after which this bird gets its name, is like a special claw that is on the front of the wing. So if that bird was to open up its wing, what you would see around about where, I suppose, where you would find your elbow, you would find a long claw, which is quite interesting. And they use that probably for fighting each other, which isn't very nice. So from a spur-winged lapwing, which is a beautiful bird, let's head across to what I think is probably one of the world's most beautiful antelope.
And not just one beautiful antelope, an entire herd of them too. Yay, life on Djuma! How exciting is this? And they all come down to drink at what's left of this little pan. It's just south of Twin Dams. Do you remember when Hosanna and Shongile used to live here? Oh, those were the days. It was always so nice to see their happy faces first thing in the morning or first thing in the afternoon when they were hunting terrapins and all sorts of other creatures that would come down, or that were brave enough to come down to the water's edge. Now, Kudu are an amazing antelope, and it's quite interesting. There's only one drinking right now. The rest of them, well, now there's a second one that's put its head down, but just a moment ago they were all looking around, just making sure that nothing else is creeping up to them. Some of them are slightly spooked just because there was some impala that ran at quite a speed behind them back in towards a little gowrie. So I hope this hasn't disturbed them, because Kudu don't necessarily drink water every single day like impala and waterbuck do. They get a lot of their water from the vegetation that they're feeding on. I'm trying to see why those impala were running. But again, you know, out here, the smallest thing can give any animal a fright. Even something as small as a steenbok or a duiker, or even just a crested francolin fluttering around in the grass could cause quite a big stir. The biting flies are out this afternoon, which is good. They'll meet my Agwari branch a little bit later. But it seems as though quite a few different animals are coming down to drink at this time. Just the Kudu using this pan, and there's also one waterbuck every now and then you can see. But what we might do is reverse out of here and go see what's happening on the other side of Twin Dams. I think that's exactly what we'll do. It looks like there's quite a few impala coming from that way. Now we just need to get back out of here. I think we'll be fine if we go like this. Now, we just went off-road just a little bit. Okay, well, we'll see if there's anything happening at Twin Dams, but before Scott's raptor flies away, we better get back to him.
So, this is one of my favorite eagles, and isn't it so cool with that long crest, which gives it its name? It's called a Long Crested Eagle. It appears to be uniformly brown now while it's sitting, but when it takes off there's quite a lot of white on its wings, and they sure do look impressive when they are up in the air. You'll also notice its bright yellow eye, and it seems to be scanning with a lot of intent. Look at the way it's bobbling its head from side to side, focusing on different things, obviously looking for some prey. Maybe it hasn't been a successful day hunting. I love it when the wind blows them the crest like that, when their head's opposite to the way the wind is blowing. Wonderful. Now, in terms of prey that it may be looking for, small lizards, rodents, even insects. There's quite a few large insects in these open grassy plains, big grasshoppers. So lots of food around, but it doesn't take down the largest prey. I tried to show you guys another little bird earlier called the black-shouldered kite, but it disappeared in what is turning out to be a fairly windy afternoon here. I also love the way they can pivot their head around 360 degrees without having to move their body. Wouldn't that be useful? Is it thinking about flying? I've got a feeling it just kind of tweaked its tail up a little bit. come on. Go for it. Go and catch something for us. Hello, Rachel. You would like to know how large is the Long Crested Eagle's wingspan? Now, I would be lying if I told you, and it'll take me a little while to find it in the book, but that is possible. Before I do that, though, I'm going to have a guess and try and work it out from the knowledge of other large raptors' wingspans, one of which is the Martial eagle, which is one of the largest aerial predators we get in Africa, and their wingspan is about 2.5 meters. Some records have been even longer than that. That is longer than your average door. It's a door and another quarter of a door. It's extremely, extremely large. Now, this long-crested eagle, I would say, is probably somewhere around half the size as a Martial eagle, so I would hazard a guess at 1.2 to 1.3 meters. I will now get out the old book and double check my guesstimate, just so that we make sure we're not providing you guys with any misinformation. Now keep an eye on it. I think it could take off at any stage, so be ready for this bird to swoop down and catch something. Okay. Long-crested eagle. It doesn't have the wingspan in my book. So I'm going to have to ask you guys, who have possibly better access to some researching platforms, to look into that. But I would say it's about half the length, maybe a little bit more than a Martial eagle. So yeah, 1.4 to 1.6 meters is my guess. What my book did say, though, was, and now I've just gone off the page, was that it's 58 centimeters tall. So it's about 60 centimeters tall. Very, very wonderful. Mystic Wolf, thank you so much for getting back to us so quickly. You've just confirmed that the wingspan is from about 138 centimeters up to 176 centimeters, which in inches is about 55 to 70. So thank you very much, Mystic Wolf. I love the way we can all work together to try and learn as much as possible about all things interesting out here. And I really do appreciate your help. As Ferg zooms out, you get an idea of its hunting grounds. What's tricky for this bird now is that a lot of its prey has got so much cover in this sea of grass. Once the wildebeest have moved through here, it's going to be far easier for this long-crested eagle to find its meal. So it's interesting how different predators will benefit in different ways from the migration coming through. Some will benefit directly from feeding on the wildebeests themselves, and like this bird here, it will benefit on the aftermath of the wildebeests consuming all this grass. Hi Sabrina, you would like to know when eagles like to hunt the most, and I guess they all have their own kind of slight preferences, just like we do as humans. Even the same species of birds may act differently in different parts of Africa. But as a general rule, most of the aerial predators are most active in the warmer hours of the day. So depending on whereabouts in Africa they are, it may only start warming up at around 10 in the morning until about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So that's when they'll be most active. And that's mainly because they get to fly around without using much energy. They can ride the hot air thermals rising off the earth. Having said that, though, there's quite a few aerial predators, like this one now, that hunts from a perched position. Unlike the black-shouldered kite that I was hoping to show you earlier, they are hovering experts, so they hunt on the wing. So they each have their own slight preferences, I guess. A lot will also be dependent on what their prey is. But most of the eagles are kind of midday hunters, or I guess any time from sunrise, to be fair. And then, of course, the owls do their business after dark. Interestingly, some owls also hunt during the day, so that's something I've learnt since being out in the African wilderness. Not all owls are completely nocturnal. Well, it seems like this Long Crested Eagle just simply can't find something to swoop down and pounce on, so we're going to send you back to Tayla.
Hello again, everybody. So we still haven't managed to pick up on any predator tracks just yet. We're still searching. We're searching for anything. We've left our Impala. Sorry, Craig, the suspension feels like it is gone in this car. You better hold on back there going over those bumps. So I don't know where we're going to go now. I haven't quite decided. I thought we'd drive back to Lear Road because it was a road that I didn't cover this morning. So I think starting off we might drive the roads that I missed this morning and give them a check. We'll have a look around Buffelshoek Dam, but there wasn't anything happening there this morning. The hippos that are normally in that dam have found somewhere better to go. Maybe we can have a look at Mr. and Mrs. Blackmouth Lapwing when we eventually get there, if they're around, and whoever else is waiting for us. But for now, it's very quiet still. But later on this evening, we will go down towards Gowrie Gate, and we'll have a look for those lions. Hopefully they're going to cross over. I hope so. They said they weren't too far from the boundary. They were on one of the fire breaks, so there might definitely be a chance. So I'm just scanning literally every single tree and shrub for any movement, even if it's a fly. If it'll sit still for long enough, we'll talk about the fly. But they haven't even seen any Inyala through here, and this is normally a very good area for Inyala. It's nice and dense. I don't know where all the animals have actually gone. It's bizarre. At least when it's quiet, the antelope are around, but nothing. So we will just keep searching. Like I said, maybe we bump into Tingana. Who knows? Maybe he surprises us. But I have a suspicion that he was just using Buffelshoek Dam to drink water from. The guys in the north as well think that he might be on a kill in Buffelshoek, and the closest watering hole happens to be Buffelshoek Dam. But we'll keep an eye out. Squirrel, you're not going to show yourself, are you? You never do. Let's keep searching for him. Now there also was smoke in the distance, so it's one of the reasons why I'm going towards the eastern boundary. There's actually quite a bit of smoke. So there's a fire somewhere. I don't think it's on Djuma, but I'm going to just check anyways, because sure, if there is a fire and it's close to our boundary, we need to inform the Sabi Sands, because you're going to have to fight a fire. And with the vegetation being so dry, we were actually chatting about this 2 days ago, these areas will go up in flames so quickly. So quickly. You'll be surprised how quickly the fires can move, and the wind is picking up, which is really no good. Let me see if I can show you, Craig. Look at the smoke. And if you look straight down there, those trees, you'll see how hidden away. See all that in the air? That is smoke. I think we might actually have to pick the pace up and go and just triple check that this fire is not on Djuma. Let's do that. That's going to maybe be our priority now this afternoon. Go and have a look there. Fires can start so easily in the bush. From the smallest thing, such as a piece of glass on the ground, somebody throwing a cigarette out of a vehicle that's still light would easily smolder this grass, and then it will burst into flames. Lightning, of course, is actually one of the main culprits out here to causing fires. We haven't had any lightning today, but when we get big thunderstorms coming through, it typically causes quite a big fire. Now, I was saying to you, I've fought many fires in my life, and I'm sure so has Scott and James and Brent and Tristan and Jamie and Byron and Ali and everybody. Well, maybe not everybody, but the guides definitely have fought many fires in their lives. It's not fun. It is so dangerous. See, look there, Craig. I don't know if...
Right, hello everybody, we're back again here, and now we're looking down the mountain. I'm sitting about 1,000 feet above the floor where Scott is sitting. I'm in a very special thing called the Migration Control Room, and you can see there that I'm panning this camera across the Masai Mara. That's where we find ourselves now. Now that's in Kenya. Now I don't know if any of you managed to answer my very special question about what the oldest animal is in the world. Did any of you manage that? Not yet, oh dear. Well then I think what we should do is go back to the river. Let's head back to the main south crossing where the very old crocodiles were. We'll head back there now. There we are. And I will tell you that the oldest living vertebrate, that means animal with a backbone, so it could be a bird, a fish, a mammal, an amphibian, which is like a frog, or it could be, I've left one out, bird, fish, mammal, amphibian, or reptile. That's what a vertebrate is. The oldest living one is something called a Greenland shark, and it can live for 400 years. Isn't that amazing? 400 years? So that's 300 years longer than these big crocodiles are able to live. And you can see they don't move very much at all unless something is coming across the water. Now, Ali, you're wondering if they attack the cranes. There are no cranes here at this particular juncture, but I think you're asking about any birds that come down to have a drink and if the crocodiles will attack them. Ali, not usually. Normally the birds are very good at staying out the way of the crocodiles. Ooh, this one's opened its mouth. And what they will do, Ali, like I think you've pointed out there, is much rather go for something like a fish. But these chaps are big enough. Ooh, look at the big teeth there. These chaps are big enough. The picture's just getting a little bit freezy. Oh, look at those teeth. These fellows are big enough to eat things as big as zebra and wildebeest. And at this time of the year, well, that's what they're eating. It's just a little bit wobbly because the wind is blowing. Can you see it blinking its eyes there? Look at the size of those teeth. Those must be about 4 inches long. It is really very impressive indeed. And if we go just a little bit across to the other one there, look at his big teeth too. Let's go up a bit. There we are. Look at him. Doesn't he look terrifying? Oh, Zach, you say, have I ever had a close call with a crocodile? Zach, no, I haven't. I'm much too careful with crocodiles because I know that even if I can't see them in the water, look how big he is, even if I can't see him in the water, that doesn't mean he isn't there. Crocodiles are masters at hiding under the water and catching people and animals that come down to the water thinking that there aren't any there. So I've never had a close call with a crocodile. A friend of mine has. He was bitten once by a smallish crocodile, managed to get away. And in fact, another friend of mine was taken by a crocodile. He was only about 21 years old when I was at university, so that was very sad. And he was a very experienced wilderness man. And so you know, crocodiles can be very scary and very dangerous. But I must just say, and this is very, very important, it's the same with sharks and it's the same with any living creature. Every living creature has a function here in the ecosystem. Be they sharks or be they crocodiles, well, we need them all. Otherwise, the world would be a much poorer place and nature would be a much less rich environment. Now, these are Topi. Look at this. This is very special. Topi and zebra coming down towards the river. They might be looking for something to drink, and quite excitingly, they might be thinking about trying to cross the river. Now, if I were them, I would be going a long way to the south, because there tend to be far fewer crocodiles than there are in this area, but maybe these chaps will try and cross the river, and then you will see those fat lump crocodiles that you just saw. You will see them scuttling into the water, and they will become very, very excited at the prospect of supper crossing the river. Now, Rhett, you say, how long can crocodiles hold their breath? I think, Rhett, it's probably about 10 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's around about how long it is. I will check for you, though. They don't, you know, normally they don't spend a huge amount of time underwater. They spend about, what should we say? They spend probably no more than a minute every so often, unless they are hunting. So if they are hunting, then they can hide under the water for a long time. And I've just checked, apparently it can be up to about 30 minutes or more. And there are records believe it or not, I've just seen this, of crocodiles being underwater for up to 2 hours. Now, the reason they can do that and most mammals can't, I mean, I know a lot of seals and whales and that sort of thing, and dolphins can spend a long time underwater, but remember that the crocodile is cold-blooded, and that means that it can use much less oxygen. Ooh, that's not very good. It may use much less oxygen than something like us. Alrighty, there's the Topi. I'm going to keep an eye on what they're doing while we see whether they're going to be silly enough to try and get to the water. Let's head across to Scott, who has got something that likes to flap.
So we stopped and tried to show you this bird's mate who had just caught some kind of a caterpillar. They are wonderful birds, the Grey Backed Shrike. Not one that I've seen much since I've been in the Mara. So one of the benefits of exploring this new area, they obviously like this section of the Mara. And just like the fiscal shrike that you will see down in South Africa with Tayla and Djuma, they are quite formidable predatory birds, but hunting smaller prey. The shrikes are quite well known for their ability to be able to stash their prey on sharp objects like thorns or barbed wire fences. And that's often why they are called butcher birds, because they open up their own butcheries to a degree. But not much else going on out here. Just a vast expanse of open grassland. I must say a big thank you to Mark, who's provided us with some information about Scar and one of his brothers. I chatted about Scar, a big male lion, a little bit earlier in the hope that we may find him this afternoon. But Mark has confirmed that he is on the opposite side of the river in an area called Paradise Plain. So I'll try and actually point that out when we get onto some high ground. Although even from here, if you kind of point the camera at about 11 o'clock, way across in the distance, somewhere in those open plains, is where Scar and his brother is with the zebracle. What's interesting about this information is that it means he would have crossed the river from when he was last seen. We saw him about a week ago, the side of the river. And wouldn't that be something fascinating to see, a big male lion having to get across the Mara River? Something else to bear in mind is that the crocodiles that have been spoken about quite a bit on this afternoon's drive will feel absolutely nothing to clamp down on a big male lion. It's been recorded on a number of events. Imagine seeing that unfold. I'm not sure if that would be too much fun. However, it's important to remember that I guess the lions make a lot of kills themselves, and the roles can be reversed out here. And like James says, every single animal out here has got their specific role, and if it means every now and then the crocodiles take under a lion to help the herbivores, I guess in a way, that's the way Mother Nature has intended it to be. Hard to believe though. Hello to the Creature Conservancy Club. I am very envious of your club and wish there was one in my hometown when I was growing up. You guys would like to know how many lions are there in the Masai Mara, and it's a tricky question because it's such a big area. The researchers actually battle to keep track of all the lions, but they guess that there's somewhere around 150 to 200 lions moving around this greater area. It's a very, very large area, 170,000 hectares, and in terms of football fields, to try and put that in perspective, I can't think of the exact conversion, but that is something that I will find out and I will let you know after you've gone to Tayla.
Late, unfortunately. The tortoise got away this time. It was quite cool actually. We haven't seen any tortoises for a very, very long time because it's winter and they're typically not so active, but the reason why it's come out is obviously because of the fires. So we're going to drive up and down these areas where they're burning. It seems as though it is a controlled burn. They just forgot to let us know that they were going to be burning fire breaks today. So I can hear lots and lots of birds. Remember how I was telling you the other day? Often when there are fires, the birds are so happy because it flushes a lot of the insects out, and perhaps it'll mean we'll have some action today. But unfortunately still no hippos in Buffelshoek Dam. Let's go up ahead and see what this fire looks like. Maybe we'll get lucky to see another tortoise, otherwise you're going to have to wait until the end of the year when the rains come back. And it was quite cool though. It was nice to see it. Little leopard tortoise, not a particularly big one, about that big. So I just want to check to make sure that the flames aren't too big. They shouldn't be if they're just burning fire breaks. We'll just go up ahead. Right, let's have a look here. Nothing quite like the smell of burnt grass. Here we go. Have a look at this. I don't know when they actually started burning. They must have done it relatively soon after the morning safari, because we were here driving in this exact area looking for a leopard. Now, it's very important that they do burn fire breaks out here. Like I was saying, there's many different causes for fires. Let me try and find something cool that you can film, Craig, and then we'll carry on talking about the fire. Is that better? The smoke, there we go. Now you can actually see what's going on. We're not behind trees. So if we don't have these fire breaks, then we have very little defense at stopping them when they do come through, and they will hop properties very, very quickly, especially with all the dry grass around. So they normally, between the boundary roads, they'll clear quite a large area, as they've done here, and burn it right down so that there is very little moribund. So all that excess grass, all the built up twigs and things like that, there's smoldering elephant dung. We should go and hang around over there. There'll be no insects, hey Craig? The biting flies won't be able to get us this afternoon. I'm going to go stand at smoke. Anyways, so there are lots of little creatures hanging around. Like there's even a lilac-breasted roller that's just come to join the party now, just up in front of us, and hopefully it's going to catch some insects. It's just a pity though that we weren't here when they started lighting it, because that would have been really interesting to watch how they do the whole process and then how they control it, especially when the wind picks up. Those fires move very quickly, so you would have found an entire team armed with fire beaters, maybe even the odd guarri bush, just in case, because that works really well to put the fires out. And I'm sure that as the flames would have been quite big once it burns the grass, the birds would have been flying just above the flames and catching all those insects that we'd be trying to get away. So things like tortoises and reptiles as well, they can sense when there is a fire, and they will try and escape it. And that's the reason why we did see that little leopard tortoise at one point. And we might see some snakes. That'll be a good thing. We'll keep an eye out for lots of snake tracks today. But they don't always get away. So I know whenever we used to burn, we used to have a tortoise recovery vehicle. One vehicle dedicated to collecting all the tortoises that were trying to escape, and we'd put them in the back and make sure that they were fine, and then we would put them in a safe place and let them go again, which was quite cool. I enjoyed being part of the tortoise rescue team. Let's have a look. Burning fire breaks is so interesting. I know they looked like they'd started the other day, and then maybe they just didn't have enough wind. You see, you do need a little bit of a breeze as well. You don't want the fire to sit on top of the surface for too long. You just want a hot fire, so a quick burn. So it's just a surface burn. Let's just quickly go up here. Now, Sabrina, you're wondering if there are any conservation projects within the area. Within the Sabi sand, I'm not so sure, but just typically in any conservation areas, they normally have a project of trying to remove alien plant species, monitoring of things like rhinos. We've got, I suppose, Panthera is a research conservation project that goes on here, where they monitor all the high-profile cat species, and even right down to the rare sightings like honey badgers and jackals. They monitor too. Serval, caracal, any of those sightings will be recorded, so that's an ongoing one. But other than that, not too too many that I'm aware of. They might have a whole lot, but they may have not advertised what they're doing. Fortunately, we don't always get to find out about the research projects that are going on. But we'll keep searching. Hopefully we'll find some other interesting reptiles that have maybe been flushed out by the fire. Let's go across to Scott now, who's got the heaviest flying bird.
Well, like Tayla says, we have got a very interesting bird in front of us, which is a family of the heaviest flying birds in the world, the bustards. And this one's busy searching for some food. Interesting stuff about the fire in Buffelshoek. And like Tayla says, I'm sure a lot of birds are going to be swooping into that area. Oh, time for a stretch. Thank you for showing us how beautiful your wings are. That was so cool. Another cool thing we can expect to experience. Oh, what have you seen? Have you found something to eat? Are you going to go in and nab it? No? Since we've been with it, it's just been snacking on very, very small insects, but we can't work out what exactly they are. It looks like it's battling to swallow, actually, whatever it last consumed. I think that's why it's tilting its head from side to side. Maybe that little bug is putting up a fight. As I was saying, something else that's very interesting about these birds that we can expect to experience at some point, because there's a fair population of them here in the Mara, they do like these open grasslands, is their mating display, where they'll puff up themselves. They look like big white fur balls, but we are going to send you across to James because he has got some exciting action unfolding in front of him.
This is very exciting, everybody. It looks like the Topi are thinking about coming across the raging torrent of the Mara River. Let's follow them. Oh, this is looking very, very strong. Oh dear. What is this thing flapping over here? There's something flapping over there. It's a crocodile. Is it? No, it's a bird. It's a hardy-dar ibis, different kind of ibis from the one we saw earlier. Let's keep moving across. Now this is good crossing country or good crossing area for animals because they can reach the bottom, and that means that they can push off if a crocodile attacks them. But at the same time, crocodiles can hide in amongst, sorry, there's a fly attacking me. Crocodiles can hide in amongst the rocks there, and they look like rocks when they stick their heads out of the water. Let's see what the rest of these Topi are thinking about doing now. Oh, the leader's very nervous. And you can see that it takes a long time for them to build up the courage to go across the river. You can see they want to cross, they want to go across the river, but will they go across the river? They know there's danger there. And you know, we're not really sure why it is that they want to cross the river. There's lots of grass on that side where they are, and even though they might cross it once if there was a lot more grass on this side, you know they'll do it again and again throughout the season. But a Topi crossing is not a crossing I've ever seen before. I've only seen wildebeest and zebra crossing the river, not so much the Topi. And a Topi on land is, well, very lucky because they're very, very fast. They run very quickly indeed. They're the fastest antelope in Africa. I just killed the fly, you'll be happy to know. And the Topi there seem to be absconding now. That means they're going away. Let's just darken it a little bit. I know we can't see that anything properly there now. Anyway, let's keep going. Now you can see on the side of the bank there, underneath the Topi, there are a whole lot of bones. So something has been killed there. That was probably lions. Now, Creature Conservancy, you say how often do crocodiles, what was that? How often do they catch animals? How often do we see it? We see it pretty often, you know. If the animals cross here, it's highly likely that we would see a crocodile catching one of them. There come the zebra. Now the zebras really do like to cross the river, so we'll follow them quite closely. Oh, now you see something like this can go on for hours. before they decide that the time is right. Let's go down a little bit. Sorry about that. Not sure why that happened. There we go. Just finding the focus again. It's all very clever, these cameras, you know. They do this all automatically. Sometimes they're not very clever, though. Now, this kind of thing, they'll stand here for hours sometimes. Sometimes they just run straight in. Sometimes it takes a long time. Now, there's a very special pride of lions that lives around this area called the Paradise Plains pride. It's always difficult to say Paradise Plains. I don't know why. And they like to sit on the banks of the river here. And what they do is they catch exhausted or very tired animals that come across the river, and they think they've escaped the crocodiles, and then the lions grab them. But there are obviously no lions here, but I suspect the bones that are on the side of the river that we saw there, I think they belong to the Paradise Pride. Alrighty, let us keep watching here. We're going to just find out what's going on and see if they don't cross. While we do that, I want to go back to South Africa with you to smell what is my very favourite smell of the winter.
Oh no, James, your wealth areas are burning. I'm sure there must be tears streaming down your eyes now. Now we're sitting here watching the fire, and some bits of the grass have ignited again. And you can see, I want you to see how quickly the grass goes up in flames. The sound as well that we've got out here is the sound that puts shivers down my spine. Now I want you all to have a little listen, because it's not just the fire that you can hear, but you can hear the amount of birds that are just sitting in the trees as well. You hear them all, lots of fork-tailed drongos. There'll be lots of rollers around here. There's so many different types of animals. Now, this is where the problem comes in when you do burning. Obviously, it's very, very important for conservation with all the amount of fires around here to keep fire breaks between the various properties. But what you... Okay, let's keep driving. Let's keep going. What you guys don't realize, or maybe some of you do, because I suppose there's big fires all over the world, is that if this wind continues to pick up like this, we might find ourselves in a bit of trouble, because I haven't seen anybody patrolling up and down just yet. And it's not necessarily the grass and the fire that I'm worried about, it's these big smoldering logs. Look at this. See how these trees are all smoldering here? That's going to keep going. That's going to keep burning. The roots underneath the ground are going to keep burning too. And if any of you know about fires, you know that that's the one bit that keeps, and all that obviously starts it up again. So that makes me a little bit nervous. I don't know if I'm going to sleep tonight. I never usually sleep whenever they burn fire breaks. Always worrying that I'm going to get a call at 2 o'clock in the morning to come out and put the fires out again. That's never fun. What we've done in the past is that we'd come around with a vehicle that had basically a portable fire extinguisher, but it was basically 20,000 litres of water, a tank with a hose pipe, and it was high pressured. And then we'd spray those logs, you know, quite a few litres on each one to make sure that you've put most of it out to try and prevent it all from burning back up again. So they've just done that part, and here they haven't really set much of it at all alight. There's just a couple of bits. Obviously they tried to get it going here and it wasn't that successful. Some places will burn easier than others. Some bits need a little bit more encouragement. As you can see, there's a bit of fire starting up again. I just really hope that this wind dies down. Look, watch, look how quickly it's going to go up. It's caught onto some of the long grass now. Fire is so fascinating. So there's a couple of birds also flying up ahead that haven't come down low enough for us to see though. But they're definitely around here. Right, no more reptiles sadly. Hopefully we're not going to have a quiet drive again. We'll just keep until us or we bump into something. Let's go across to James though. It seems as though he's going to see a sighting for the first time with a Topi crossing the river.
Well, there are the Topi, and they're still looking very, very like they're just a bit scared. And I think it might take one of those zebra at the back there to make them come across the river. But maybe the Topi will come. While we look at them, I believe I need to wish Harper the mountain lion a very good birthday, or happy birthday. I believe that Harper the mountain lion is 3 years old today. I don't know if Harper is in fact a human being or a mountain lion, but whoever you are, Harper, I hope that you have a wonderful birthday, and I believe you are in fact a lion. Wow. Marvellous. Let's go back to the river. Here you can see the stripes of the zebra in between the Topi, all of them discussing, should we go, shouldn't we go, I don't know. Do you think we need to? Yes, we need to, but really, do we? Well, we're going to see what plays out here. For those of you at the Creature Conservancy, I hope you have a very wonderful day wherever, well, in Illinois, that's where you are. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope it's filled with exciting creatures from the wild. Let's head back to Scott Dyson now for the, well, rest of the drive.
So, we thought we'd stop off on some high ground and show you a view of the Paradise Plains, but in the foreground you can see a fork-tailed drongo, and as Ferg zooms out and pans to the left, he will reveal the Paradise Plains. Huge open plains, look at that. I mean, that little vehicle gives you a precise perspective. Looks like a little dung beetle in relation to its surroundings. Now, where exactly the Paradise Plains start and finish is a mystery to me at this stage. But that is them, and who knows where exactly in and amongst that area Scar and his brother are. Magic. So these are views of the eastern side of the Mara River, and we are perched up on a small hill kind of in the center of the triangle. James, you would like to know what is the smallest species of bird that occurs here? And I would guess probably little warblers or tits would be the smallest bird in this area. But I have yet to polish up on my birds of this area. There's still quite a few birds that I'm actually not sure what they are, but I am doing my homework bit by bit. My filing cabinets are being prioritized with learning the area though, because learning the area for me is fundamental. You've got to know your way around before you start wanting to work out who's who and what's what. But good question, and I'm guessing warblers or tits. It'll be interesting to know what James thinks, so you'll be able to get his opinion right now, because you're about to head across to him.
Well, we are here still with the Topi, everybody, and in fact we've got two angles of them. Kirsten, if you go to main south, you can see them kind of moving away now. Whoops, the daisies, down I go. There we go. You can see that is the same herd from a different angle moving now away from the crossing point. Now this does happen, then sometimes they just turn around and go herring back towards the water. So who knows what will happen here. Sometimes they go to where you've seen them thinking about it before, and then they come across to this crossing and decide that this is better for some reason. The encouraging thing about this is that there are a lot of zebra around, and while Topi are not renowned for their crossings, the zebra most certainly are. Now what I did see flying through here was two ground hornbills just before you came live. They were just in amongst the grass over there, and I thought we might be able to see them. Well, if you want to know why perhaps these Topi are a little reticent about this area, it could be because these people are looking at crocodiles, I imagine, and it could be those crocodiles that decided the Topi. Well, it could be the Topi that decided, because of the crocodiles, they weren't going to go across the river. Right, let's go back to Main North if we can quickly. Now there is Main North. I just need to change my controls. There we are. Yes, and they're heading off. So we'll keep an eye on exactly what's going on there. So far, not a great deal. What about, shall we have a quick look at Dusty Crossing, Kirsten? See what's happening there. It'll just take a little while for us to set that up, everyone. There isn't anything hugely action-packed going on there. No, you soon see that there is not much going on at Dusty just yet either. Dusty tends to be a wildebeest crossing point. So when they get up here into the Northern Triangle, we think that this, you can see that vast sort of expanse there, is probably where they'll do quite a lot of their crossing. Very nice. Now, Brood Raptor, you want to know how many species of antelope there are in the entirety of Kenya. That is a difficult question to answer because Kenya is vast. Well, I mean, it's varied. It's not that vast, but it's very varied. And that means that there are lots and lots of different habitat types. Let's go with something slightly more general, like the, well, how many antelope are there here? Let's count them together. Blue Raptor, we have got Topi. We have got Coke's hartebeest. We have got Impala, Wildebeest, Steenbok, Dick, Ierland. What else have we got? I feel like there are a lot more than that. You know what? I could just go to a list. Duiker, there we go. That's 9. Waterbuck, 10. Reedbuck, 11. Yeah, I'd say Oribi, 12. 12. We might add gazelles to that. Okay, so we got Thompson's gazelle and Grant's gazelle, which take it up to 14, though they're not strictly antelope. Yeah, so let's go 12, and then I'm going to actually look at an official list and see if I'm not actually able to tell you precisely. Oh, there's a vehicle on safari. How wonderful for them. That was the same one that I saw earlier. He's obviously in a big rush. In fact, let's follow him, see where he's going. Perhaps we're missing out on something. Are we? I'll zoom out a bit. You see that? There is a main crossing point there. You can see where the bank has been worn away by years of hooves. But I don't see any crossing going on there. I think this chap is hoping for the same thing that we are, that we're going to get some crossing action today. I always feel a little bit bad thinking about crossings and wanting them to happen because, well, you know, it's just a little bit Circus Maximus, if you like. Alrighty, I'm going to go through the mammal list, find out if I've left anything out. While we do that, let's head straight across to Tayla, who's got, well, a scene from the apocalypse.
Djuma's fire breaks are up in flames. Look at that. You can see lots of flames developing. I find that very pretty. There's a go-away bird that was flying just overhead. But just an unusual scene, something that we don't get to see all the time. Now, I did see a tractor with a trailer and a tank of water attached, and he's going around just making sure that the logs that I was talking about are being put out. Though I think he might have run out of water at some point and have to go and fill up. He's got a long stretch of road to do. Now, we've just been driving around. I'm trying to find a bird party that's utilizing this fire. I did see some drongos a while back, but they didn't sit still on the branch, unfortunately. They carried on flying. I think they're going to make use of all of this. Now look how quickly it's going. It's burning that tree, although I say this and then it keeps going down. Tula Ann, who's only 5 years old, you say that Smokey the Bear says that fire is bad. Where are the firemen to put it out? I was also wondering exactly that. I was a little bit panicked. So Tula Ann, I'm also on fire duty now, as well as presenting, making sure that it's not going to jump across the roll road. So we're just checking. but I think they'll hopefully come out and do patrols a little bit later as well this evening. But you can see that's the grass that's catching fire there. Listen to the sound. It burns so quickly. And that's the scary thing about fires. I was telling Craig, I've worked at 2 different places where lodges have almost burned down because of fires, so you have to be very, very careful. So I think we need to use today as an educational purpose to remind people not to throw cigarette butts out of your car. Do not leave glass bottles lying around in the bush because they break. And also, well, just pick up your litter after yourself as well. That would be a good one too. It's so important because even though it might be an innocent mistake, and this is of course a man-made fire, this is a controlled burn that's going on here. But when you get those raging fires, and especially after what's happened in Knysna and my hometown, or in Port Elizabeth, in that area, with those big fires, you wouldn't want to see something like that happening out here. Just imagine all the animals that would be affected, especially if that wind picks up. If we had wind like we did yesterday, we'd be in a whole lot of trouble. That fire wouldn't even be here anymore. But that's why they don't burn on days like today. They've got to be very, very specific about the days, and the humidity is not high, so it's a good day to burn. Now, Tony, you're wondering what types of animals would go towards the fire to try and eat the fleeing prey. The birds. The birds will be the ones that will typically head around here. What I'm hoping to do is actually find some more tortoises and things. That's why I'm continuing with the fire break. Not the fire break, we're on Buffelshoek boundary. I'm just searching to see if I can't spot anyone, and if I need to help a tortoise out too, I might give them a helping hand along the way. This is unbelievable. Now, there are some guys out and about. We can go down here. Should we go into the smoke, Craig? We're living dangerously. No, don't worry, this is not dangerous at all. The fire is very small. I'm not really worried about it yet. If the flames were up here, you wouldn't find me doing this at all. I'm quite scared. When I was working in the Eastern Cape one day, they tried to do burns, and all of a sudden a berg wind picked up. And now where I'm from, winds like that are common, but they just come out of absolutely nowhere. And the next minute this fire changed direction and it was going towards the reception area. And I've never been so scared in my life. There was one day I thought I was going to be burnt alive, and this whole fire, we were beating, trying to put it out. We had fire extinguishers, we had hose pipes, we had absolutely everything you could think of to put a fire out. And the fire was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and getting closer and closer to the reception area and all the staff houses. So we were obviously really panicked, and we need to put it out. Just some birds here, some Birchall's starlings, a trusty old Birchall's starling. And the flames, actually, myself and one other guide, we ended up ducking and just about laying on the floor. The fire jumped over the top of our head, this big gust of wind. And that was petrifying. There's some birds calling. There's lots of different birds around here, so I think that they're waiting to catch insects. Starlings would absolutely love to catch all the insects that are flying about. Like I said, the drongos, the broo-broos I think will be here too. We already mentioned the lilac-breasted rollers. I'm just seeing if I can find any other interesting birds along the way here. It doesn't seem like there's too much going on. Like I said, they probably would have started burning this maybe straight after morning safari, so they did have most of the day to get it done, because the sun goes down so quickly and they don't want to be fighting fires at night. And I saw a whole lot of them up ahead, so I think they are trying to get it under control, make sure that it doesn't get out of hand. But we'll keep circling around here. I'm going to try now check the other side of the fire break, maybe with the animals are fleeing sort of away and not onto the road. We'll give it a bash. But while we do that, I'm going to send you back across to James, and I wonder if those Topi have decided to cross.
There we are. The Topi have not decided to cross. I've seen a lot of running around in the background there, but no really sort of committed attempts at any sort of crossing. Now, I've been looking to see what the smallest bird must be here in the Mara, and I tell you, I don't know. I'm going to find out if you get a grey penduline tit or something like that. That, of course, is the smallest bird that we find at Djuma. I'll see if we can find them here. In terms of the antelope, though, I did go through the antelope, and there are 12 species here. You don't get Steenbok or duiker here. which I thought I'd read that you did. I certainly haven't seen one. You get duck, which I did say, and then you get klipspringer as well. And the only thing, this is 12 including the 2 gazelle species, and the only other thing we left out was bushbuck. You get bushbuck here as well. So we are learning all the time, learning with you. Roshni, you say, is there a birding season in the Mara? Well, I mean, I think we're pretty much in it, you know. I think birding, there are migratory species, far fewer than there are Djuma, and that'd be here, I suppose, largely during the hot summer months, or the hotter summer months. It's not very hot at the moment. So, Roshni, yeah, I can't really tell you if there's a specifically amazing birding season. I imagine January and February would be the best times, but it's pretty good now. There are still many vehicles massing at the north crossing, so they think that these animals are going to pop across. Let me just go to the main south there and show you what I mean. There you can see the cars coming along now. They're convinced that this bunch are going to eventually decide that it's a good idea to go across the river. I am not so convinced. Anyway, maybe they will. Dusty Crossing remains completely quiet. If we can just have a quick look at that. I know this is very difficult, of course. Yeah, not much going on there at all. Now, how about a view from above? Should we try a view from above? There we have the mountain cam scooting along, and let's zoom down into the valley and see if we can't spot something down there. I can see, oh, this is, you know what, this is a story I've been wanting to tell for ages. Please let them be there. Oh, is that them? Now, I think that is them. There is a nuclear family of buffalo here. I don't know what the bull lying down on the left's got to do with it, but that bull and cow there have one young little baby, which was probably born just about as I arrived, so about 4 weeks ago. I think he's probably lying the other side of the cow. And the two of them seem to be homeschooling their child. They've decided they're not going to live in a herd. They're going to raise their child on their own. And they've been living on this hillside for the last... Sorry, there's a nasty fly trying to crawl into my nose. They've been living in this area now for 4 weeks, and the herds of buffalo have moved off, and they are homeschooling their little one, which I think is quite fun. Then, what do we have over here? Ah, I think we have got... No, they are topi. I thought there might be Koch's hartebeestes, which are slightly less common than topi. And also, very excitingly, wildebeest, not wildebeest, there's a zebra and impala. I thought actually they were cattle for a second, but they're not. That's a relief. Okay, let's head across to Scott Dyson. I'm not sure what he's doing. He seems to be going at roughly Mach 3.
So what I am doing is dropping down from that hill that we were on behind us, where we show you the Paradise Plains, which are basically stretching out in front of us over there on the opposite side of the river. And the plan is to just loop into the various crossing points, heading upstream along the Mara River from where we are. And even though there doesn't appear to be too much crossing action imminent, that could change in a heartbeat. And those topi that James has been watching with you guys could pluck up the courage and plunge themselves into the water. Failing that, it's just a beautiful area to explore, and who knows what else may be lurking out of sight of the river cams. Now, as wonderful as the river cams are, they're quite limited in their view in terms of seeing what's behind them up on the bank. Of course, it means it brings great views of the crossings, but it means you may not know what is lurking on the banks behind the camera. JJ, you have asked a question that many people have asked and many of us are interested to know. And with all the research that we've done, we haven't got any conclusive evidence of any crossings happening at night. So that is something that we hope to be able to unfold and share with you with the infrared cameras or even the thermal cameras that we use. So we are not sure at this stage. I've got a feeling that they will, especially on full moons when there's quite a lot of ambient light. I'm so busy talking to you guys, I almost drove past some animals. So let me just swivel around a little bit. Oh, don't run away, little Thompson's gazelle. That's a big male. And he's very happy to see us.
Yeah, these two have a tiny baby stash somewhere.
Oh, cool, Ferg. Now that is some interesting information, because we can see a mother. She's off to the left. Hello, Mum. Where are you hiding your baby? Also very happy to see us with that wagging tail. Only kidding. Obviously being pestered by some flies. Now, I'm going to have a scan with my binoculars, and Ferg can do the same. Take you on a scan through any areas where he thinks this little fawn could be tucked away. I'm guessing it's going to be in the slightly longer grass where there's a bit more cover. Having said that though, I've seen these small gazelles lie in the open short plains and still be able to dissolve into their surroundings. You saw it yesterday, Ferg, with James?
We did, yeah.
Do you remember where it was yesterday?
It was in this drainage.
In this drainage up ahead here. Well, that would be a wise place to hide out, but not the perfect spot for us to be able to search for it, which is exactly why it's there. Good stuff. All right. And I think our presence here is going to assist with getting to the bottom of all these mysteries. Do crossings happen at night? Which animals cross when and how? How many lions are there? What's going on with the prides? There's a lot of info that you and us together as a team will be able to unfold. And we may not mention it enough, but you guys help us so much with working out which animals are which, and it's something for the newer viewers to be aware of. We've got some people who are absolute wizards at identifying the different leopards, different lions that we see, especially in the Sabi sands on Djuma, where we've been spending a lot of time. Less so here because we haven't spent too much time here yet. But that will change in time. Donna, you would like to know, how do the vehicles cross the river? With difficulty, because there's only one functional bridge within the Mara, and that's to the south of us, very close to the Tanzanian border. I was told there used to be another bridge kind of opposite where our camp is, but it got washed away in some floods. I'm not sure if there's any plans to rebuild that, but in a way it kind of helps. If there was too much ease of access and free flow between the Mara Reserve, which is on the other side of the river, and where we are here, it would mean that maybe too many vehicles would concentrate in one area at one time. So it's possibly a bit of a blessing in disguise that once you're on one side of the river, you've kind of committed to that. Alright, well, we'll be sure to call you when we get to one of the crossing points up ahead, but for now, back to Tayla.
elephant tracks. I'm just trying to see if I can spot this elephant. It seemed like a bull. He was on the road and then he ducked off of the road and was sort of coming around in this direction. So I think he's still in this block somewhere around here. I just want to check if he maybe hasn't popped out into this open area, but I doubt it because those tracks looked very, very fresh. So I'm sure he hasn't quite navigated his way through just yet. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like he's here. Nope, he's in the bushes still. I think what we're going to do now is probably head all the way around towards Treehouse Dam, but that's quite a far drive from here. Oh, I was really hoping we were going to get an elephant. Oh well. Oh, sorry Craig, that's a sneaky bump there. Just check, still no birds on Impala Plains though. They haven't decided to arrive just yet. So we shall bumble until we find something. Let's keep going. And the worst thing is that I haven't got any tracks to follow up on. You know, we didn't have any tracks this morning. The only ones we did had, they crossed north, and there wasn't anything coming back from those leopards that are all in the south. Like I said this morning on this morning's safari, that it's probably going to take them a bit of time. They've got quite large kills before they come back this way. So we'll try like a Treehouse Dam, and then we'll probably go towards Chitwa at some point, and have a look around and that side too. Maybe we get lucky at Chitwa. I don't actually, what is the time? Quickly check. Right, on the main road we go, the highway. Well, we're actually not on Gari Main now, we're on Triple M, so we've really got a long way to go, but we'll get there eventually. I've given the animals, I think, enough time now to head down to the watering holes. I didn't pressure them and check all of them right at the beginning of drive. I thought I'd save them. Maybe we get some warthogs like we had yesterday afternoon, in fact, drinking and one deciding to wallow. That would be nice if that family of warthogs came back again. Otherwise I wouldn't mind even a herd of zebra or giraffe down at the dam. That would be quite nice. Of course, we can only just keep asking Mother Nature, and hopefully Mother Nature will provide for us. And then I think when it gets to about 5 o'clock, somewhere around there, we'll probably go and start going up and down Triple M again and head back towards the gate and catch those Nkuhumas crossing, if they are moving around, if they haven't made a kill. Now, a question from John, and it is, what causes the big bumps in the road, or are they man-made? They're actually man-made, so I'll see if I can find you one now. It's another type of conservation sort of effort that we put in place. It's to prevent water from collecting on the road. So we have these big humps, and then we normally have a drain dug off to the side, and we call those mitre drains. And now, of course, there aren't any, so we'll see if we can. There should be a couple of them coming up now. Well, here's the drains, but we are lacking the bump. You can look on either side. Should we do that one? That's quite a nice one. You see how the tractor has sort of gone off the edge there, John? So that's a runoff. So it's just so that the water doesn't become stagnant. So, and they're also very effective speed bumps, of course. You can ask the cameraman. They love them. It's their favorite. But there are quite a few different types of bumps on the road. Yesterday we were chatting about the corrugations, which are these little rises, and that's caused from big trucks and going quite fast. Often it does things like this to the roads, but these roads are constantly being maintained, especially these boundary roads. It's important. People aren't always just coming or going to their respective lodges in a safari vehicle. Some of them actually come in very smart, fancy cars that are quite low down to the ground. So you can imagine these roads have to be in good nick. But I think the next time you'll see us, hopefully we'll be at Treehouse Dam with an array of different animals, but keep your fingers crossed for us. Let's go back to James, and he's in the studio, and who knows what else he's got up his sleeve.